Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. The objective of today's call is to provide an update regarding our new stakeholder comments tool and give a demonstration of the tool's benefits and functionality. My name is Isabella Nicosia, representing ISO Stakeholder Affairs, and I'll be facilitating the web conference today. I'm also joined on the line by Joanne Serena, Executive Director, Customer Service and Stakeholder Affairs, Keone Almeida, Manager, Stakeholder Affairs, and Stacy Gibbs, Manager, Creative and Web Services. The presentation for today's call is available on the Miscellaneous Stakeholder Meetings webpage of the California ISO website. Today's call is being recorded, and the video file will be available for a limited time on the ISO website. The recording is for informational and convenience purposes only, and any related transcriptions should not be reprinted without the ISO's permission. We will be taking questions throughout the call today, and you can enter the question queue at any time by pressing #2 on your telephone keypad. Just a reminder before asking your question to please start by introducing yourself. So with that, I will hand it over to Joanne, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Great. Thanks, Isabella. Good morning, everyone. I'm Joanne Serena, and just want to welcome you to the call today, and certainly wish everyone a happy Friday. Thanks for joining us on a Friday. We did want to go over sort of some background of our stakeholder comments tool that we are in the process of getting ready to roll out. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the stakeholder process, and then I'll turn it over to Keone, who will talk a little bit more about the tool itself, and then, as Isabella mentioned, we'll get a demo. So I'm sure many of you are probably already familiar with our comments process. You participate in our stakeholder initiatives today, and you actively submit comments. But for those who maybe have joined the call that aren't fully familiar with it, I just wanted to go over a few key points. Starting with every stakeholder initiative that we conduct, as well as other special topics where we have stakeholder engagement, we accept comments on those initiatives. And the comments are certainly a valuable part of our stakeholder process. We encourage the engagement of stakeholders in our process to help shape and set the policy direction of every initiative. About a year ago, we started to streamline the process and implement some improvements. And earlier last year, we implemented a Word document template that was provided to stakeholders to help standardize and streamline the overall comments process. Also last year, through a stakeholder process survey, many of you provided positive feedback on the use of the template, since I think over the last year, the majority of stakeholders have adopted the use of that template. Some of the feedback regarding the survey about the template was that it was useful, but we were also committed to continuously make some improvements to the template and the process. On the next slide. Now, those comments that get submitted via the template are typically submitted from stakeholders through email. As I mentioned, the majority of stakeholders are using the comments template today. Once we do receive those comments, we do post them to the web so that everybody has access to each other's comments. And on average, we post approximately 700 plus individual comment documents from stakeholders annually to the web. That kind of gives you a little bit of high-level process of how we manage the comments and how they are received today. So what I'd like to do now is turn it over to Keone. He's going to talk about how we've further improved our comments process by converting the existing Word doc template to an online tool. So he's going to talk a little bit about the background of that and the benefits behind it. So with that, I will turn it over to Keone.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I'll be going over the development of the tool, some of the key benefits, and some of the stakeholder engagement that we've conducted thus far. And following the stakeholder feedback that we've received thus far, which will be covered by Stacy, I'll be going over next steps and then the implementation guideline, and that will be followed by a demo. The ISO has developed a new web-based tool for comment submission, enhancing the use of the current comments template, which we've received positive feedback through last year's stakeholder process survey that Joanne had mentioned. We've evaluated various third-party tools, but due to the unique needs of stakeholders, we modeled the new tool based on the existing Word template. The new web-based comments tool further streamlines and standardizes the comment submission process, allowing the ISO and stakeholders to review comments in an efficient manner. Essentially, it replaces the existing Word document template with an online version. You will be able to download a Word version of the template so you can route your responses within your organization prior to inserting your responses within the tool. So next page. There will be an initial sign-up process that sets up a stakeholder account and retains basic information like your company name, the submitter's name, and contact information, so you don't have to put that in every time you go into the tool. The online template will be tailored for each initiative, asking specific questions related to the initiative. And all the templates will contain free-form text boxes for stakeholders to comment on any aspect of the initiative. Some feedback that we received was to have a field up front for stakeholders to summarize and highlight certain points, so that will be provided. And at the end, stakeholders will have the ability to comment on areas that might not be addressed in the template itself. The tool has filtering capabilities for viewing comments by organization or by question, so stakeholders can easily find topics most relevant to them or easily find the organization that they want to review the comments of. The tool will have improved security with sophisticated virus scanning. Right now, we receive documents via email from many different individuals in which we have to open up each of them. Documents can be uploaded through the submittal form. So if you have graphs, tables, formulas, those can be submitted as well. And finally, the tool will have improved visibility into which initiatives are open for comments. This will be shown with an icon on the initiative page that signifies that comments are due. So next page. So I want to go over the stakeholder engagement that we've conducted thus far. As mentioned, the majority of the stakeholders currently use the provided template today. We received positive feedback about the use of the template in last year's survey. We announced in our survey response that we would further improve the comments template by creating an online version this year. The tool has been promoted at stakeholder meetings since February to build awareness, and we had a stakeholder focus group that participated in the testing of the tool. We conducted outreach to 24 stakeholders that regularly submit comments soliciting their feedback on the use of the tool. We received valuable input from the testers, and we appreciate their participation in that effort. And I should mention that as part of our stakeholder engagement, we are conducting today's demo where we will also welcome your feedback. Now I'll turn it over to Stacy Gibbs, who's the Manager of Creative and Web Services, to go over some of the feedback that we've received thus far. So next page. Stacy.
Good morning, everyone. So we've had some testing, as Keone said, and some of the common themes that have come up, you'll see on the left-hand side of the table here, are the tools need additional text formatting. Right now, the tool will allow you to copy and paste from Word, retaining things like indent, bold, italic, underline, bulleting, numbering, footnotes, that type of thing. We're looking at other enhancements to that as well. If a document is uploaded, will it be lost when grouped with other comments? Your documents, if you choose to upload something, will show up with your answers for your organization. Right now, the document's not visible when we filter by question, but we're looking to fix that. Another comment was having the ability to submit comments in a structure that may not fit the template. We've provided some additional fields within the template. We've provided a summary field at the beginning. You can use that for whatever you'd like. We've also have the fields that are specific to the questions, and then added a couple extra fields at the end where you might bring up something that the ISO hasn't considered or other questions you think and issues you think they should take a look at, and then a general kind of additional comments field. So we're not limiting you to only providing comments on the questions put out for the ISO, but providing other fields as well so you can, add other things you may want to discuss. Another comment was the font size in the comment template was a little bit small, so we will go ahead and increase that. Also wanted more time to vet the tool, and we are going to roll it out in a phased approach so it's easier for you to get used to. And the ability to download specific comments. Right now we've provided an export button so you can export the comments, and excuse me, it will give you all of the comments. So we are looking into a way that you can pick and choose just those comments you'd like to download. So those are just a few of the things that have come back, or common themes really in some of our feedback so far. Next slide.
So I'll go over the next steps in the implementation timeline. So for now, the launch date hasn't been determined. It's going to be determined based off the evaluation of the feedback that we've received thus far. Some of the changes that we commit to, we'll have to determine if we can implement that now or in the future. A market notice will announce the launch, and there will be a training webinar that will coincide with the launch. As Stacy mentioned, there will be a phased rollout approach. The complete functionality of the new tool will be available during that rollout, but folks will have the ability to submit their separate documents as they do today, but utilizing the tool to submit those. And we'll receive continued feedback, and it's always welcome. And as we do with many of our web pages, we continuously improve those. And you'll always have continued support for the tool, and that will be available through my group. And here's the contact information for that. So what we'll do is we'll provide a demo of the tool, and then we'll take questions and comments following the demo of the tool. I'll turn it over to Stacy.
Lauren, could you please give presenting rights to Stacy?
Good morning. See if I can get this here. Is everyone able to see the screen?
No, not yet.
All right, it takes just a second here. All right, what do I do?
On the upper left-hand column, you'll see Share, and then under that drop-down, it'll give you the option of either My Screen or Application, and you can share your application.
There you go. Yeah,
Thank you. All right, and I have to apologize. They're cutting trees and across the street, so you're going to be able to hear all of this noise, unfortunately. All right,
sound effect.
so exactly. So this is an initiative we set up for testing, and obviously we're not having any initiatives on coffee drinking, but this gave us a platform to have people go in and try out the tool. So what I'm going to do is head down to the activity of web meeting where we have an issue paper and view comments. So this will be available just as it is now. You go into a stakeholder initiative and you click on view comments, and right now a window pops up with individual PDFs of every commenter's comments. So now it works very similarly. You just click the link here, and it's syncing. And what will end up appearing is all of the comments. It'll include the title of the paper that the comments are on, the comment period, and all the organizations that submitted comments. So right now, when you come to this screen, it is showing you the comments provided by answer, but you can also click this link here to show it by organization. It will also provide a left navigation, so all of the people who commented, you can click on their name over here and it will take you to their comments all the way through. You can also scroll, and you can also use the back to top button when viewing the comments. This is what I had mentioned earlier. This is an export button. If you wanted to download all of the comments, you can click this button. We are going to add functionality so that you can choose which organization's comments you want to download so you don't have to take them all. All right, I will move on. We'll move back to the initiative, and I will show you how a comment template works. We're going to the next activity listed here, which is a web meeting where we've issued a straw proposal. And you can see a submit comments button here and the due date for comments and the time. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to log in. If you click on that and you have not set up an account, you can go ahead and click sign up and enter your information and submit it, which will create an account for you. Jump in here. So here's the template, and basically what we've done here is we've taken my name and my contact information, and if I need to submit on behalf of another organization, we're updating this right now because this particular drop down for this didn't quite work the way that we had hoped. So we're modifying this now, and we'll work on this before it launches. If you were to come in here and you want to grab the comment template so that you can download it as a Word doc, work on it offline, route it through your company for review, you can do that. And then you can come back in and enter your answers into these fields. Like we had mentioned before, we provided a summary field, so you can use that for any kind of intro or summary you'd like. We put the specific questions that you would find now on the comment template. And some of them, if they're ones that we're asking you for a vote, there's these radial buttons that you can choose and enter your comment here. Towards the end, we will always include, a couple of fields down here. Are there any additional questions or issues we should consider? And please provide any additional comments. So you can use these fields to put in any information that goes beyond just the questions that the ISO put out. And then you can also, if you need to attach other documents or supporting things such as formulas, things like that, you can attach your file here, provide a name for it, and upload it so it is joined with your comments in the comment tool. You can come in here and save this and then return to it later and finish it later if you'd like. We've also considered adding a preview button to this. You can preview what your comments will look like before you submit them, and then you would submit. Once you've submitted comments, you can't go back and edit them. So you can use the save feature and revisit this as many times as you need before the due date hits for submittal. And I can take any questions now if you have questions.
As a reminder, you can enter the question queue by pressing #2 on your telephone keypad. Lauren, will you let us know if anybody enters the queue?
Yes, we do have several callers queuing up. I'll open the first line. Go ahead.
Hi, Stacy and Joanne and Keone. It's Jeff Spires from PowerX. I just wanted to give some higher level comments on the tool without going into sort of the details of the mechanics of it. I think from our perspective, we can understand and generally support what the CAISO's objectives are with this and understand that it makes sense to look for new ways to try to ease some of the burden on CAISO staff to accumulate all the comments and organize them and get them posted. And I also understand that there's security benefits to it, and it can provide some standardization for entities that want to use this type of tool. So from that perspective, we understand the potential value of this tool as an option for stakeholders, much as the option to use the template has been something that some stakeholders think is valuable to them, but perhaps not all. But I think just at the highest level, it's absolutely critical that there's two objectives that we think we need to be considering here. And the basic point being that this type of tool cannot come at the expense of stakeholder dialogue and maximum transparency and visibility into the comments that people want to submit. And so basically the two fundamental concerns we have are, first of all, we can't have a tool that restricts us from submitting comments in a free-form way according to what we believe to be the most appropriate way to effectively communicate our thoughts. So, it's critical for PowerX as an entity that often submits comments that are detailed and that are not structured according to the template, and other stakeholders do that as well, that we have that ability to continue to do that. And that might include answering the CAISO questions, but it might not. And it also might include us wanting to provide comments and perspectives on other issues that are related to a stakeholder initiative but aren't explicitly raised by the CAISO's template. And we often include charts and data, and we think hard about how to structure our comments in the manner that we think is the most effective at communicating our perspective. So number one, it's a critical priority for us that this type of enhancement does not restrict that type of submission in a free-form manner. And the second fundamental issue that's related to that is it's also critical that it doesn't diminish the visibility of the comments that are provided in a free-form manner. So if some entities choose to use this tool and find that it's helpful for them, then that's great, and I think we're supportive of that, just like some stakeholders use the current template and others don't. But we need to be 100% confident that all comments are equally visible and are posted in a similar fashion, regardless whether or not someone is willing to use the tool and submit their information according to this particular format. So the bottom line is we're supportive of enhancements and we understand the objectives, but it's really critical to us that this doesn't come at the expense of the ability to communicate in the manner we think is the most clear and most effective. And I really worry about that, just listening to the discussion on some of the technical challenges that people have already raised and just looking at the demo there, that, we have to make sure a technical solution doesn't, inadvertently result in those kind of barriers. So that's my high-level comment, but this is something that's important to us. And so I just really think that wherever you land eventually, it needs to be evaluated in that light to make sure that the number one priority is transparency and dialogue, and that has to come first.
Okay, so this is Joanne. Morning, Jeff. Thanks for your comment. I appreciate it. And I do appreciate PowerX's participation in bringing their feedback throughout our process, which I think is actually helping us to address those things that you've raised and will result in a better outcome. So I do hear what you're saying, and completely agree with what you're saying. We absolutely do not intend, there's no intent at all, to hamper the process of submitting comments. You know, we pride ourselves in the fact that our stakeholder process is very transparent, it's very open, and the comments that we receive from customers are extremely valuable in shaping our policies. And we want to continue that and promote that. So one of the things, based on what we've heard, we've enhanced the tool so that there is an option to put in free-form text in a number of places. So even if we're asking a particular question about a specific portion of the proposal, you have the ability to comment on any aspect of the proposal. So there are those free-form fields that you'll be able to utilize for that purpose. Now, in terms of visibility, you know, we certainly hope actually that the tool is going to improve the visibility. Those that use the tool are going to be able to very readily see comments from others rather than having to open up individual documents. But the option to provide a document is still there, and we will be looking at those comments, and our policy team will be looking at those comments equally as they will be looking at comments in the tool. So we understand PowerX's concern. If you would like to continue to submit your comments through your standard process today, we would support that. We do ask that you attach it to the tool so that it is all in one place and everybody can access it from one place. That's the one request that we would have to make sure that your comments are included in the other set.
Thanks,
okay,
Joanne. I appreciate that feedback. And first of all, I don't take my comments as suggesting that that what the concerns we're raising are something to do with the CAISO's intent. I think the issue we have is that we all know how software and technical solutions that are become more complex can also inadvertently lead to challenges, especially to the extent where you're trying to basically limit or restrict the way people provide their information. And so it's not about intent, it's just about whether or not that's the outcome. And I'll be, you know, just to use an example, we have found that over the last year or so, it's more difficult to get to stakeholder comments today than it used to be in the past. And I'm sure that that's just inadvertent with the way that the website is designed, but it used to be a fairly simple click to get to recent documents. Now it's 2 or 3 clicks. You kind of have to know what you're looking for to get there. And in our view, that's not a helpful improvement. That's sort of a step backwards. And so that's my concern. I think we would be, if this is the tool to submit and you want us to use the tool to provide our PDF or whatever our comments are, I think that would be fine. But again, when you're filtering and looking through it, we don't want a situation where our PDF or our comments don't show up the same way that others do. And so that's really back to that visibility question. So, you know, I hope you'll consider what we're saying. It is a really important topic to us. And I understand, again, your objectives, but I think we need to be careful here to not inadvertently diminish the value that we all get from being able to clearly see stakeholders' thoughts.
I completely agree with you, so thank you for that. Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it. Okay, should we go to the next caller question?
Opening the next line. Go ahead.
Good morning. This is Ryan Millard from Portland General. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, good morning.
I want to, at a high level, points that Jeff made. The pre-selected topic areas are problematic from a stakeholder process standpoint because it's kind of strained dialogue, and it sort of there's frame comment context of what is being asked by CAISO, not concerning them specifically. And I think that was kind of the point that Jeff was making. Sometimes, however, people uses the template, and the template doesn't fit what's needed to convey the concern, choose, or opinions. We didn't give an initiative, but that aside, explain what you mean by free-form text box. Can a stakeholder choose to all of their comments in that text box? And if so, what are the character or word limits you're setting?
So you broke up a little bit, but I think I understand what your question is. There are several free-form text boxes that will be available. So you will be able to put in any comment that you wish in those fields. Now, typically on initiatives, we also have questions because we are interested in some specific feedback that we're looking for. So a lot of times on our existing template today, and we will continue to do so in the tool, we may have some specific questions that we're seeking your input on. So that's the purpose for sort of the individual specific questions. But there are three other additional fields that Stacy highlighted that give you the ability to provide some overview, some summary, and also just comment or question even any aspect of the proposal. Now, in terms of your question about what is the limitation per box, Stacy, maybe you can answer that in terms of...
There is no character limit.
Okay,
so no character limit. Now, go ahead.
I didn't know that you guys are seeking input from stakeholders, so we haven't really been part of the process, so it's kind of new ground to me. I certainly have lots of questions. Comments that include data and narrative may be in a variety of formats, so how exactly does that work in this new process? For instance, I think you said that there's an option to download the template, but how do you upload a template to the site and confirm that it's been done so correctly?
Stacey, you want to take that one?
If you download the comment template and you choose to attach that rather than putting your responses into the field, you will use this upload button down here. This upload button can take a PDF, can take whatever document you have, and you would just upload it and submit your comment that way.
Okay. So when we go back and try to look at a stakeholder who submitted comments, how does that appear? It appears in the same format as the template?
No, it will not read your Word document and pull like things into the template. Unfortunately, it can't do that. It will be tied to your name now, and it'll just be a hyperlink, just like your comments are now when you bring up the View Comments box.
Okay, so that's the same thing if another entity were to have uploaded comments, we would just see it as an attachment. We would then be able to download that attachment?
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct. So basically, the tool allows the ability to use attachments. So let's say you decide to use the fields on the tool itself to provide your answers. You fill in the boxes. But then let's say you have some additional attachments that have maybe some tables, some supporting information, some supporting material. You can always take those and add them as attachments. Okay?
Okay,
so
thank
essentially, if you look at how comments are submitted today, right? They are all submitted via a PDF form. And anybody can access those comments, but you do have to select each form and enter it and go into it. One of the benefits of the tool, if more customers adopt the tool, you'll be able to easily generate basically a view of all the comments from each entity all in one place. So the intent is to bring more visibility to the comments across all stakeholders, but that's given everybody is putting their comments into the tool itself. If you choose not to put comments into the tool itself, then all of the documents that you attach or that you upload will be visible similar to how they are today, right, where you see a list of the documents that have been submitted across all stakeholders. I hope that answers your question.
I think it does. I think this might be.
Sure.
I think this might be something that it's in it and with it. My only real concern is in case of someone using a different format or attaching data. It's helpful to have a with. So it wouldn't necessarily attach in the form of kind of a Word document with the data.
So I think what's going to happen is, and we decided to do this in a phased approach where we'll launch the tool and we'll make it available and give stakeholders an opportunity to play around with it, really get familiar with it and used to it. And I think it's one of those things where it might take a little bit of time for you to get familiar with what you're seeing. And so we've decided the phased approach is the best approach, so that everybody can continue to submit comments the way they do today through the documents. We just ask that you submit them through the tool. And then as you see people utilizing the tool, I think you'll see how it sort of brings comments all together. And so we'll work with each individual stakeholder to get more familiar with the tool as well. Okay?
Thank you.
You were breaking up, so I'm hoping we got your question.
You did.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Move to the next caller.
Hi, this is Camille Kristen with Idaho Power. Can you hear me?
Yes. I'm sorry, say your name again.
Great. Camille Kristen with Idaho Power.
Yes, hi, Camille.
Hi. So I have several questions, and similar to Ryan, I guess I was not really, didn't really realize this was coming. So I have several questions. I guess in no particular order, one question is, if we choose to export the comments, what format are those exported into?
It will download as a Word document. Oh, do you mean the template or the export?
No, I mean the comments that are submitted where you had that export button on the other page.
I believe that comes out of the PDF.
Okay. And if multiple entities want to submit joint comments, how does that work?
We are updating it from, okay. So what will happen is you will still log in with your username and your password. And then when you get to the template, there will be a button that you can click that says submitting on behalf of other organizations. And then you can enter the organizations there and provide a, I'm going to use maybe PacifiCorp as an example. So let's say PacifiCorp logs in and they want to submit on behalf of multiple EIM entities. They will list the EIM entities in the field that says the, labeled organizations you're submitting on behalf of, and it will ask you to name the group, the collective in a sense. So you might name them multiple EIM entities and then hit and then you just go in and enter all your information and submit it. So then when people view those documents, they will see, just like you do on our PDF now, that it says multiple EIM entities response or something like that, depending on what you name the group. And then it will sort by that, and you can see who the entities are, what the group name is, and who the submitter was, which in that case, my example would be, Chris Kirsten from Pacific Corp.
Okay. So in terms, you mentioned, I think, that you were considering whether to add a preview button at the bottom. I support having a preview button. I think that would be helpful. If we do develop the comments and route them internally in a separate Word document, and then we're trying to copy the text over, will it retain any formatting or things like that we have in the Word document? Or will we have to redo all the formatting and spacing?
No. If you were to copy and paste directly from your Word doc, it will take anything you've bold, italic, underlined, bullet pointed, footnote, hyperlinks. It will take all of that. You won't have to reformat that. Right now, it won't take a formula or an image, so that's an enhancement that we're looking at.
Okay. Images, tables, or equations could be still provided through an attachment.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like some entities have had the ability to test this. Is that going to be an option for everybody, that, like, even if you just put sort of a test initiative out there, like the one you have on the screen, where we could go in and kind of see how it works for ourselves, or will our first opportunity to use this be when we're trying to actually submit comments for a real initiative?
This is Keone. That is part of the rollout phase, where you could test using the tool in an actual initiative, or you could submit your comments as you do today.
I think if there could be, correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of sounds like maybe some entities have had a chance to look at this in a test basis and provide comments, and just in terms of our own learning about how to use it, it seems like it might be valuable to make a sort of a test option available to anyone who might want to use it.
So we can take that back and look at it and look into that. Stacey, I don't know, we can maybe talk to technology and see if we can get our link available for other entities to take a look at it.
Yes, I can do that.
We did put out sort of a call for volunteers to participate in a focus group, and we did have a set of stakeholders that participated in this focus group. And I really do appreciate those that volunteered and participated. If you weren't included as, part of the request for volunteer, I apologize. It wasn't that we were excluding anybody in particular. So let's take a look at, we probably can provide the link to everybody, to whoever wants to just play around with it and look at it. But our idea of doing a phased approach was also to get people comfortable using the tool without having to be committed to submitting their comments for the actual initiative, and could still use their existing method, just submitting through the tool. But Camille, we'll look at that. We'll see if we can make it available if you and others want to just play around with it and see the functionality yourself.
Okay, thank you. And one final question. I think earlier you said that if people submit a PDF, that right now that wouldn't show up in the same way as other comments. I don't know if I misheard that, but based on the responses to Jeff and Ryan, I just wondered if you could elaborate on how, if someone submits comments via a PDF and they don't fill out the comment templates, will that show up? And maybe you could go back to the page where the responses show up, but I'm just a little confused about how the PDF will show up in that case.
Yeah, Stacy, do you want
to? Okay, so what would happen is if you were ABC Company here, if you did not fill out all of this field here, it would be blank. The questions would be blank. There would be nothing there, but your Word or your PDF document link, hyperlink, would show up here near your name.
And so if you were on the answer, if you were sorting by answer, is that where it wouldn't show up? I thought I heard you guys say that it might not show up in the same way.
You're correct. Right now we're solving for this to make sure if you show by answer and your ABC Company, that your document isn't at the bottom of the page, that it's near your name. So we are looking at a solution for that.
Okay. All right, I think that's all the questions I had. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So essentially, based on what Stacy has displayed here, right, you can see that APC Company has put in a bunch of comments that you can visually see, right? So if you don't put the text into the tool itself, you would see a link to your document there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Take the next question in the queue.
Caller, go ahead.
Good morning. This is Elvis Pavoda at PG&E. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Elvis.
Great. I just had a couple of things I just wanted to echo. One from the previous questioner, the question of using the test sort of sandbox versus going live with it. I think the one consequence for you, if you don't allow people to sort of become comfortable with the tool in a sandbox, is you're going to get a lot of redundant comments, and they may be almost but not perfectly redundant, and so you're going to have a question of what you're going to actually collect in that case. Because if people try one thing and then they decide, oh, well, I'm going to try the other method, and they're not exactly identical, you're going to have a question of what to do. So having a sandbox is valuable for making sure that most participants are comfortable with what's going to happen, at least. Even if they decide to do one or the other for other reasons, they should know that they don't have to do both just because they don't trust the system. The second comment, sort of echoing what the PowerX gentleman said, is I would want to know how members of the public are going to access comments, because the recent documents interface was a very simple way for people to just sort of look and see what entities were commenting on about CAISO initiatives. And you want to have some way for sort of just the general public to be able to access comments. I understand there's a need for stakeholders to see aggregate comments to be on top of initiatives as they are actual decision-making processes, but there's also a need just to provide information to the public. And then the last comment is I'm a little concerned about this tool being used with hard deadlines as a way which would then stop comments from being submitted in cases where that's not really germane. I can understand there may be times when you have a hard deadline because of either you have a vote involved or you have an actual, actionable date that you have to, the process is constrained in that way. But in other cases, it may be there may be no reason not to allow late comments to be attached to the record with respect to processes. Thank you.
Okay, Elvis. Yeah, thanks for the comment, Elvis. So a couple of things just to respond to you. First, making the link available for Test Sandbox. Like I said, we'll take that offline. We'll see about making this available to a broader group of people to test it and play around with it. As far as your external stakeholders, general public getting access to the comments, I think we didn't cover that, but thanks for bringing that up. So, Stacy, maybe you can mention how that's going to work.
You mean how non-submitters will see comments?
Correct, or public.
Okay. Yeah, anyone who visits the initiative page can click on this link, View Comments. That's not constrained to a login of any kind. So just like you do on the initiative page now, when you click View Comments, it will bring up all of the comments to any person who visits the site.
So similar to today, once a stakeholder submits their comments, once the Stakeholder Affairs team has reviewed them, they will get posted and they will then be viewed publicly as they are today.
Okay,
and
well,
then your last comment.
Sorry.
I'm sorry?
I was just going to comment on that. That's not unreasonable, but it's still, it does mean that there's no sort of top level seeing what has changed recently kind of thing. You have to be aware that you need to go into the initiatives page and see if anything has been posted there in order to be able to view the comments. But I'm just getting an understanding of what your intent is there. Thank you.
Yeah, and which is similar to today, right? That's similar processes we have today. Also,
right,
if I
the
can
recent documents allows you to see if anything has been posted on anything, basically. That's the difference there.
Stacey, do you want to respond to that?
Yes, that's true. Recent documents, this system was built outside of our current website SharePoint structure, so that's where the disconnection came with the recent documents feed. If you click recent documents up in our top nav here in the gray, it will take you to a page where it does provide all the initiative-related recent documents as well. A little different than feeding it to our homepage, which couldn't connect to this new format.
Okay, well, that sounds good. I haven't tested that, but that sounds like would be a reasonable, if you can go to the recent documents page and see another link to all initiative connected recent documents, that sounds like it should be adequate.
Okay, good. All right, good. Then last thing I just wanted to mention, you mentioned the hard deadlines. Are you talking about the comment window period when it ends, when it closes?
Right, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so similar to today, we have window periods that open and then are closed. So the tool will follow that same concept. Now, even today, if somebody is late in submitting comments, we will manage that on a case-by-case basis. And so we would do the same thing here. So if the window period is closed and you still want to submit your comments, you just get a hold of somebody through Stakeholder Affairs, through our contact, and we will work with you on getting your comments submitted, even if they are late. So similar to what we do.
Okay, so it won't be directly through this interface, but you'll just assume people will contact you offline and essentially get it through on the side.
Correct.
Well, typically, what we'll do is we'll open it back up for that specific case that needs to submit their comments late, and then they would be able to do so.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Well, that's also a good solution. Thank you.
I know we're getting close to the end of our call. How many more questions or comments do we have?
After the current speaker, we have 5 more in the queue. Did you see the notice sent you, Isabella?
Yes. Just letting us know that there's a buffer time at the end of the call to answer questions if everyone's
okay, so we can keep going as long as people are able to stay online.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready to go to the next caller?
Yes, please.
All right. Go ahead.
Hi, you guys. This is Chris Kirsty with Pacific Core. I just have a quick question about, I know that you said once the comments are submitted, you can't go back and change anything. So who do we contact then if we accidentally submitted comments and it was before the deadline and we needed to change something or it was an accidental, bump on the submit button instead of the save button? Who exactly would we contact at that point to get them back?
This is Keone. You can submit an email to Stakeholder Affairs, and we'll remove your comments and allow you to resubmit.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Take the next question.
Hi, this is Callie Wells with WPTF. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, so for the interest of time here, I'll just keep these very brief, but we wanted to echo the same comments with PowerX, as an entity that often submits comments more in a free-form manner than following the exact questions that are posed in the template. Really, kind of the reason we do that, again, is just we feel the effective way to communicate our positions or thoughts on these policy processes are more effective in, I guess, a free-form manner. And so we find this new tool where we understand where you guys are coming from to streamline the processes just for the way we typically handle these comments is very restrictive. And I won't go into kind of, again, we echo PowerX's comments, but I did want to elaborate a little bit more on the visibility aspect. I appreciate that you guys would allow us to upload the document still in the PDF form. But is it my understanding, though, when you go to like the summary tab of all the stakeholder comments, I get that we'll have like a link next to our name, but when you hit export, and if somebody were to export all the comments in the PDF, would our comments also show up in that export, or are they lost at that point?
That's a great question, and we will look into that to make sure that that's included.
Okay, yeah, this just seems very restrictive on how we typically handle our comments, and we really want to ensure that our comments aren't a second order visibility with everybody else's that use the template. So, all right, thank you.
Yeah, we understand that concern, Callie, so we are working to resolve that.
Thanks.
Okay. Take the next question.
Hi, this is Paul Nelson with Seika. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead, Paul.
Hi, I've got a question and then a comment. I'll start with the question first. So is it possible to create a web link to a specific party's response to a question that can be used as a site or to email to somebody?
AC, I'll let you respond to that. But can they put a link into the feed?
You can put hyperlinks into the comment template. Is that your question?
No, actually the other way around. I want to create a hyperlink to your comment template here so that I can then say, hey, let's say I want to email somebody and go, hey, go read these parties' comments, or perhaps I want to put a site and with a hyperlink to comments at the CPUC. So can hyperlink be copied from the tool to be used in other documents and communication?
So for instance, if there are comments that are already on the site and you wanted to provide a link to someone to this page for these comments, you could copy this link up in the bar above. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, as long as it remains stable and the system doesn't generate new links, then yes, that will work. Okay.
Yeah, once these comments are submitted and posted to the site, they stay there. We don't they don't change or anything. So.
And my comment, I share the same concerns that Jeff and Callie mentioned, especially about comments getting lost that are not related to your questions, and that a lot of important comments sort of get lost, and I'm not sure if it's other comments or category, and that people then can't really see what the topics are. So can a tool be developed that you can then provide, a description heading to the comments so that then people can then, when they pull up a summary of comments that they can then see a description and go, okay, yeah, I want to go look at that one, and not just have a label of other.
Well, if I'm understanding your question, these fields here that you see that I've highlighted, those are developed and created within the template by the Stakeholder Affairs group. Users wouldn't be able to change these.
Mm-hmm. So you can't add new descriptions of that. It just ends up as, do you have other comments? So, I mean, what Jeff is telling is that responses that don't fit into your prearranged template questions, everything ends up as an other. And for the reviewer going through lots of comments, I mean, I don't read everybody's comments word for word. I just don't have the time. But I want to zero in on certain issues. So today I can go open their comments and scan through it and pick up the headlines of the documents and the parts that I want to see quickly. If there's a lot of comments that are just categories as others, it's going to require a lot more time to review parties' comments. And I think, as Jeff explained it eloquently, is that the important comments can get lost and diminished because they lack the visibility.
So, Paul, I'm not sure I fully understand your concern. Go ahead, Stacy.
Yeah, go ahead, Joanne.
Yeah, I'm not sure I fully understand your concern, Paul, because, if you look at the comments process today, right, comments are provided in one single large document, and there could be a lot of different topics within that one document, right? And so today I wouldn't be able to necessarily see what your position might be on different topics because it's embedded in the document. What the tool is going to be able to give us the ability to do is for people to see all in one place, let's say, how somebody's commenting on one particular thing. As far as other goes, you may have a sort of a smorgasbord of responses in other, but they would all be there so that you could actually scan through them, which is, I believe, would be easier than how the Word documents are today.
Well, I hope so. I haven't used the tool to view parties' comments, so maybe my concern is not as maybe my concern's been addressed, and hope it is. So
okay, yeah, I think if once you kind of get more familiar with the tool, I think we might be addressing your concern in terms of how it's used versus how documents are used today.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully get the tool available, you can take a look at it, and then you can give us a call back, or we can chat with you on the phone and walk through maybe a scenario that you would like to sort of demonstrate.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Lauren, is there just one question left?
We've actually had more callers enter the queue. We have 4 more callers.
Okay. We'll stay on.
All right, opening the next line.
Good morning, this is Todd Ryan with PG&E. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Go ahead.
So I'll try to be brief, but, PG&E, we'd like to echo some of the comments about limiting stakeholder feedback that previous stakeholders have mentioned, and also the previous gentleman's comment about the importance of being able to cite in other forums documents submitted to CAISO. That's a very important feature that we use very often in FERC filings, for example. So if there's not a stable, unique link to individual comments, even if they're submitted to this form, it make it challenging for us to cite in other forums. But another concern I have that I'd like to be specific on is for each individual topic in the template, it would be great if we could be able to provide an image file or two that's linked to that topic. You know, at PG&E, we try to strive to make our comments clear and grounded in evidence, and often in order to facilitate clear comments, we include diagrams or tables or graphics or charts, and if those charts can only be referenced through an overarching file that is somewhere else, stored elsewhere, it would really kind of interrupt the reader's experience and make it difficult for the reader to understand our points as easily as you're hoping to gain from this tool. So if, for example, in your example number 2, do you feel drinking coffee promotes social interactions? If we could provide, you know, 1 or 2, 3 JPEG files or image files where we could, for that specific topic, that is linked to that topic, so that when you query our comments or query by that subject, those image files come up associated with our text. That would be, I think, go a long way to providing the functionality that we want in our rich free-form comments in this structured format. So I'd be interested in your thoughts and comments on that.
That's been mentioned by quite a few people, and it is something we are looking into.
Okay, Mike, so we'll get back to you on that in terms of we're looking at seeing if we can enhance the tool to do that, to do just that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thanks. Thanks, Mike. Next caller.
Hi, it's Chris Kirsten again with PacifiCorp. I just had one more question. So when you upload or when you open the comment document, so I know you can toggle between sorting it by company and you can toggle sorting it by subject matter or by the question in the template. But is the actual document, is it going to come up in a PDF format, and is that document searchable for keywords?
Stacey, I'll let you comment on that.
Is that, you mean if you put an attachment on?
No, I mean when you pull up the comments and you've got everybody's comments, and you can sort it differently, but it's one document, has everybody's comments in it. Can you do like a word search or a find in that document for keywords?
I will find out. That's a good question. I will find out.
Thanks, Chris. We'll look into that one.
Okay.
Okay. Any others?
Hi, this is Madeline Aldrich with Transfer Energy. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead, Madeline. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Just a quick question, similar to, I think, the question from before as well, is that I think you said that once all the comments are in, you would be able to download this or export it, and it would come as a PDF, right? Would it come as a PDF in a standardized format, or like a result of your query or your summary by company or summary by question?
We are looking into giving, see, right now if you were to click export, it would give you everything as you see it on the screen. What functionality we've been asked to include is basically have a menu come up. When you click export, have a menu come up so you can pick and choose. So say you only want 3 of the organization's comments, amongst 20 people who submitted, you can just pick those 3 and download just those that you want rather than getting all of them. So we are looking into that functionality.
Okay, great. And I just want to say, I think this is very helpful in the sense that I know the ISO, you have, done your best to produce basically large spreadsheets with everyone's comments separated by topic or, best you can. And so I think this is a real, and other companies do it as well. So you have everybody, stakeholders trying to sort these documents into topics. And so I think this is a really helpful tool ultimately, to be able to do those kinds of sorts and searching for topics and comments by different folks and being able to access them later. So one other question on the export ability. Have you considered being able to export directly into Excel or some format like that where outside entities can actually filter themselves as they see needed?
I can look into that and see.
Okay, yeah, great. And then just one last comment. Yeah. I know that the others had commented on like a general description of their comments being lost. It seems to me that if those somehow showed up in the other comments as a full document or something, so that it's not like you're having to double click to get to them in this format, maybe that would be helpful. So they do realize that some folks don't really necessarily respond by topic or question of the ISO. Just thinking through that, I think folks, the visibility is important.
I agree. Yes, thank you. Thanks for the feedback, Madeline. And just to kind of expand on what you said, just for everybody's benefit, there are a lot of companies that have similar tools, and part of our evaluation process, we did look at a number of third-party tools. We actually looked at FERC's tool as well in terms of how the tool that they use to manage comments. And, there isn't a perfect solution out there. And so our intent was to make it as easy and similar to what stakeholders would be used to in our current process, which is why we decided that it was better to build our own customized tool. So given the feedback, we're definitely committed to continue to improve it. We have the capability and flexibility to do so compared to, let's say, a third-party vendor. So I think the feedback we're receiving is very valuable, and we'll continue to take the feedback and improve on the tool as we move forward. So are there any other questions?
At this time, there are no further callers in the queue.
Okay. So let me just wrap with, I really do appreciate everybody participating in the call today. Really appreciate everybody's feedback for those of you who provided your verbal feedback. But if you'd like to reach out to us, you can reach out to Stakeholder Affairs, and we're happy to take any further comments that you have. We'll send everyone an update as we move forward, as we determine when we're going to make the tool available to everybody. In the meantime, we will see if we can make the tool available in a sandbox mode, and we'll get some information out for accessing that environment. So with that, if there's no other questions, again, I appreciate everybody participating. Thank you very much, and hope everyone has a great weekend and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great day.
That concludes our conference. Thank you for using Event Services, and you may now disconnect.